Our next guest is warning that a House subcommittee antitrust report could have very dangerous implications for Facebook, Alphabet, Apple, and Amazon. Tim Wu is a Columbia University law professor and a CNBC Tech Executive Council Advisory Board member. He submitted to Congress's proceedings but was not involved directly in the creation of the antitrust report. Tim, thank you so much for talking to us today. Now that you've had time to read through those 450 plus pages. My first question for you is, what do you expect to happen next?
Well, I think the two things will happen next. First, there's going to be a lawsuit filed against Google, and I think everyone knows that. We're expecting that, I think, next week or the week after. Then there's going to be a lot of pressure for a suit to be filed against Facebook. I think this report has a lot of damning stuff on Facebook's acquisitions. Now, Facebook is kind of furiously trying to get out of this, but I think that the last thing I'd say is I expect there'll be legislation introduced. I think a lot depends on who wins the next election for that to have meaning.
Tell us what you mean by that in terms of your expectations of what a Biden administration would do in terms of antitrust. And then for Facebook, of course, you're referring to the fact that there's this FTC inquiry and a possible lawsuit that could be filed by year end, right?
Yeah, that's right. So I would expect let's talk about a Biden administration, as you said, three things. So I would expect that they would continue to prosecute the case against Google, which hasn't been filed, but most people know is going to be filed. I would say there would be a strong chance that a case would be filed against Facebook by the Federal Trade Commission. They have reached very far along in their investigation, and I think the current administration is going to hand it over to whoever wins. And finally, if the Democrats win the House and the Senate, I would expect there to be comprehensive antitrust legislation introduced. That doesn't mean it would necessarily pass, but I guess if the Democrats win House and Senate, the chance of it passing would be higher. And that has implications actually for Amazon.
Hey, Tim, it's John Ford. I don't really get the argument against some of the acquisitions that Facebook made. Instagram was tiny when Facebook bought it. They could have decided to stay independent. They didn't have to sell to Facebook. WhatsApp had basically zero revenue and seemed to be in a very different business from what Facebook was doing at the time. So by what rationale could lawmakers say to Facebook, well, you're a big social network, so you can't buy these little companies, even though they want to sell to you?
Yeah, I think the enforcers would point to the precedent of Standard Oil and say it's illegal in the United States to buy a company just to eliminate a competitive threat. And what the report did is it dumped a huge number of documents suggesting that, Mark Zuckerberg's primary goal in acquiring Instagram was he was afraid they were a competitor that was dangerous to them. He thought WhatsApp could turn into something that could eat their lunch. And so the documents are just full of anti-competitive intent. It's a lot different when someone says, oh, let's buy this as a little hobby, or, maybe we can improve our product. But these were like, hey, these guys are dangerous.
But is it really fair to look at Zuckerberg's email and the fact that he has vision into what these things might eventually become? I mean, Instagram at the time was mobile only, and at that time, Facebook was getting criticized for having weak mobile. So in a way, it's not competitive. I mean, it might have been competitive with what Facebook wanted to be and what Instagram wanted to be. WhatsApp had a bunch of users, but wasn't creating a social network per se, right?
Yeah, I hear you. You're saying that, in other words, they were in adjacent markets. It's a lot like the Microsoft case, where Microsoft got into trouble because Bill Gates thought that Netscape was going to eat their lunch eventually, not right away. I mean, Netscape didn't make an operating system. But Microsoft was saying, well, these guys are going to become the future, so we've got to control that before it controls us. I think it's the same. I think the rational thinking would be the same. They were afraid that these guys were going to eat their lunch. The fact that they were strong on mobile, I think, makes the case stronger, because Facebook feared that they would eat their lunch, take over their market with their dominance in mobile.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.